Good morning, and welcome to Doc Talk, the show that features candid, straightforward conversations with a variety of healthcare providers to get personal and dive into your most requested health, wellness, and lifestyle topics. Representing Regal Medical Group, here's your host, Rachel Grace.
Hi there, welcome to Doc Talk, our resource for vital health topics, wellness tips, and doctor discussions, where we keep in mind what you want to hear and talk about. I am your host, Rachel Grace, representing Regal Medical Group, one of the largest provider networks in Southern California, serving Southern California for 30 years with the best in-class hospitals, urgent care centers, labs, and doctors. Also offering coordinated care for the entire family with a dedicated care team, which includes pharmacists, case managers, social services, referrals, counseling, and health education. Welcome today. I am thrilled to welcome our guest, Dr. Atil Narayan. He specializes in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. He's also the founder of Natural Wonders Healthcare, a clinic located in West Covina, which specializes in natural pain relief. And in addition to this, Dr. Narayan is also an adjunct professor at Pacific College in Health of Science, where he teaches interpersonal communication to graduate students. And he's excited to join us today to discuss integrative medicine and just the human body's capacity for healing and recovery. We also have us joining today Jason Vallejos with Syndicated Insurance Agency for all your Medicare and health-related needs. So he will be joining us today. So I'd like to welcome to the show first, Dr. Narayan. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Rachel and Jason. Thank you so much for having me. It's a huge honor.
Of course. Huge honor for us as well. So we thank you so much. And Jason, welcome to you too.
Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Dr. Narayan, for visiting today. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate your visit here.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Narayan, it's a pleasure to meet you. So let's just get to know you a little bit. So where are you from originally?
I was born in the Fiji Islands. Gorgeous,
and
picturesque.
You left? Why did you
I know.
leave?
I was 7 years old. I didn't have much say so, but I do remember a very specific conversation. Dad, you sure about this?
Yeah,
And
I'd be saying that too.
And then so I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, so I'm a Valley kid.
Okay.
Birmingham High School, Cal State Northridge, and Los Angeles Valley College. And I'm now married to a wonderful woman, Rena, and with
Very
two
nice.
lovely daughters, Leela and Mira, who's 15 and 13.
A girl dad.
Yeah. They. I totally believe that the type of provider that I am has so much to do with myself being a dad to two daughters.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I felt like they totally opened up spaces in my heart that I just didn't know that existed.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So did it open kind of your compassion and your empathy a little more? Kind of like get in touch with those sides?
Yeah, compassion, empathy, definitely those things. And maybe this would have happened if I had sons anyways. Maybe that was just going to be that type of a dad.
It was just the being a father. Yeah.
But there's something about daughters that, for me, took me into a space of where the whole thing just felt really sacred. And I don't mean sacred in some sense other than that you are, like, I don't know, I saw you take life and I saw you take breath.
Sure.
And when you looked at me, I wanted to be every ideal that you or I would hold to be important and sacred. And so in that way it was very powerful. And then so when I then had that experience and then my practice then started taking off, it then, I think, allowed me to connect with my patients in a way, because when babies are born, they can't speak.
Sure.
So you have to connect with them in a really good way.
Nonverbal ways of communication.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I've never even thought about that aspect of it, but that's amazing that you've realized that and kind of been able to apply that in not only being a parent, but also in your practice as well.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm sure your girls they're like, yeah, see, Dad, I know. I'm. You can thank me for.
Right. Yeah, Leela's taking a psychology class for summer school, and I was like, okay, now you're going to figure out why everybody's crazy.
Yes.
So.
We're all just unique, you
Right.
know, maybe that's a better word. We're all just, doing our own, marching to the beat of our own drum, and that's okay. That's okay. So, well, so, it sounds like you spend a lot of time with your family. What else do you kind of like to do when you're not busy being a doctor?
Oh, yeah. So we have 2 bunnies, we have 2 chickens, and we have 2 pet goats.
Wow, you got a
Nigerian
farm
dwarf
there.
goats. And so we have a really rich family life. I have over 20 fruit trees that are exotic and rare fruit trees. And so it's part of me as a form of kind of reconnecting and therapy and presence
Of
for
course.
myself. But that thing about putting a seed in the ground and relying on this other innate universal force and power beyond you, and that involves sunlight and water and, I don't know, intention and prayer, like, please grow.
Sure.
And then it grows, and it grows in its own time sometimes, and often, like, not in your time, in its
Yes,
time, when
yes.
its season is ready.
You got to be patient. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
to be kind of just go with it. Yeah, I know we'd like to all have everything operate on our timetable, but
Yes.
that's a good lesson to learn that doesn't happen that way.
Exactly. And to be able to surrender to that.
Yes, definitely. I want to remind you to, if you want to get in touch with Dr. Narayan or have any healthcare-related questions, 877-847-7868. And I'd like to say welcome to Jason Vallejos as well, who is joining us today. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. And again, if you have any questions related to Medicare or health benefits, we're here to assist. I'm a licensed agent with staff of licensed agents ready to answer your calls. And if you have questions about future shows, topics that you want to talk about, we're here to listen. 877-847-7868 is the number. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. And he's great at answering those questions. So if you have any, please let him know. Well, Dr. Narayan, so, you mentioned kind of the animals and the earth, and you're just really kind of connected with all of those things. And what do you enjoy most, or how do you incorporate this into being a physician? You mentioned reading people nonverbally, but, was this something that kind of made you want to go into practicing medicine? These kinds of cues and just, encompassing all of this to apply to people?
I think, if anything, the second, which is getting in touch with nature and all of that, came forth from me studying the medicine that I studied.
Okay.
And so in traditional Chinese medicine, here's a field of medicine that is 2,500 years at least.
Oh, wow.
With written records. And it's not like they practiced this medicine 2,500 years ago and then they forgot it. No, this is one of those traditions that had writing long before many other nations that exist today were even born. So with a strong written and oral tradition in many different lineages and families, they have a very powerful medicine with lots of lessons and teachings that they've transferred generation over generation. What I found beautiful about, and this is what really personally just led me to that medicine, was the underlying philosophy of how everything is connected. And so not only is everything connected just between us and speaking about the plants, right?
Sure.
Like our breath is their food. And their breath
Right.
is sacred and important and life-sustaining for us. And so we're connected. When I used to pray with indigenous people, the Native Americans, they would say that those trees, they would say tree people, like refer to them as actual beings. And so to take that idea and that perspective and now bringing it to the human body, with the understanding awareness that your liver isn't just your liver that just detoxes the body, but your liver has a relationship to your heart, and your heart has a relationship to your spleen. And then your emotions have relationships to those organs. The foods that you eat and introduce into your body has relationships to those parts of our bodies. This awareness of interrelationships is what initially attracted me to this medicine,
Okay.
the philosophy behind it. And so once I started to appreciate the philosophy and actually formally decided to study it, then kind of reality set in, and I was
Right.
like, oh my God, like this is serious stuff here. Like this is
It
actual
is.
medicine. This isn't
It
just
is.
I'm going to sit here underneath this tree and philosophize all day.
Right.
This is actual practical tools that we were being taught and given to actually have a positive health and implications in people's lives.
That's such a great approach to look at it, just to have everything connected. I mean, not only internally in our bodies, but just with everything in nature and everything that's going on around us. I mean, it kind of feels, it makes us all feel more uniform together.
Absolutely.
You know, so that we're all just these beings just trying to do the best and walk through life and everything. So if you want to learn more about that, I highly encourage giving Dr. Narayan a call, 877-847-7868. And the name of your clinic, I really like, to Natural Wonders Healthcare, and he's located in West Covina. How did you come up with that name?
Most of the amazing things in my life come from my wife, and that's one of them.
Oh, see, you know.
So the story is we're going to finally open our own private practice. So what are you going to put on the sign? I'm going to put acupuncture, because that's what we do. Drive down the street and it'll say acupuncture there. She goes, yeah, but you do so much more than just acupuncture.
Right.
You have this whole outlook, and I go, okay, well, let's come up with a great name. And so the story is that, so we're both trying to brainstorm with this name, and she's reading the back of an Oprah Winfrey magazine, and there's this story in there about how important it is for human beings to experience awe.
Oh.
And,
I like that.
And the specific story is this astronomer is looking out into the microscope, out into the galaxy that goes on forever, and she's about to observe something that, like, no human being's ever seen before. And then she goes outside, kind of hangs out, because this thing's taking place really slowly.
Right,
and the journalist that's hanging out with the astronomer then observes this, and the story becomes as much about the astronomical event as it was the awe component. But I share that awe part of it is that you don't have to be witnessing a rare event to have that awe experience, or be in the presence of the Great Wall of China, or the pyramids, or the Grand Canyon. The awe can happen with the awareness of just walking down the street and just looking at a flower that just blossomed, and it blossoms once a year, or just smelling it and just realizing. Thich Nhat Hanh says that a flower is made up of non-flower elements. So you're watching the clouds and the rainfall in that blossom of that flower as much as it is. And then hence Natural Wonders Healthcare, the wonder of the healing powers that is within our own bodies is where that came from. In acupuncture, there is zero medicine in those needles. There is no medicine. Those are sterile, disposable needles. We use them one time, and then they're gone. So any sort of healing results that takes place has to do with the pharmacology that is endogenous or within our own bodies that gets activated by these needles.
It's so fascinating. It's such a fascinating art.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's so many layers to it, I think, too. But I really appreciate what you're saying about kind of the natural wonders, because how quickly we forget from, and this is something you probably really recognize in your children that you were speaking about. We quickly forget how fascinating, a cloud is, or just looking at the ocean. Like I'm not a native to LA, so I'm still fascinated by the ocean and living next to a palm tree. I mean, it's just like it blows my mind, and it would just how amazing our days would be if we could just remember that and encompass like everything around us is essentially a natural wonder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To wake up into every second or moment of your being. As if, and one of the thoughts or meditations, if you will, that I do for myself is, and I'll do this with some of my patients, and I'm in their presence, or I'll do this with my wife or with my children, where pretend like you got to do it all over again, but you couldn't decide when you're going to pop up and get to do it all over again, and this is the moment.
Okay, so just living it to the fullest. Yeah.
And this is the moment you got to come back.
Well, even if we even think about our human bodies are just incredible. I mean, if you sit there and think about, I'm just sitting here and all these things are happening inside my body internally, and you're not even having to think about it. Yes. It's fascinating. And maybe we all need to put that, on our mirrors or on our walls, that it's just this constant miraculous happenings that are occurring. So, but I highly encourage, this is just, if you want to learn more about this, Dr. Narayan is amazing, 877-847-7868. So we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but, your unique approach to medicine and how you treat your patients. So can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure.
Elaborate that?
So there's an Asian philosophy that says a fish doesn't know it's wet because that's all it knows. So it's not like I hang out with a bunch of other acupuncturists on a routine basis and I know everything about their practice.
Right.
So what I'm about to share with you is the feedback that I've gotten from my patients with those that have gotten to other acupuncture places. And so there's a few things that stand out that apparently we do really well that makes us unique. And one of those is since we specialize mostly in pain management, when a patient comes in for pain, although what is mostly reimbursed with many health plans is primarily acupuncture, we of course do acupuncture. But since we know that you're really here to minimize or reduce or eliminate your pain, then our job is to help you with that. So we know that acupuncture is one of the tools and modalities we're licensed and trained to do.
Okay.
But we're not going to use it as a one-trick pony to get you results. So if there's other evidence-based modalities that we can do to get you those results, we're going to do those. So we use more than just one modality to try to get benefits. The other wonderful thing about our office is that we are told that we explain all the modalities and procedures really well. We walk you through your treatment plan, and we explain what we're about to do and why we're doing it. And so even if especially if we've had patients that have gone to other clinics, I don't assume that acupuncturist explained anything or everything to them.
Assume nothing.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then so the reason why that's important is and then I'm also not saying that, hey, our explanation is going to be the most best or suitable, because acupuncture is as much an art as it is a science. And then so we like to walk the middle path. There's an artistic element to it, but there's a scientific element. There's actual physiological changes that take place inside the body, and then we share that information with our patients. So being able to explain that. And then finally, I think and I'm really proud of this, but I have this wonderful healing relationship with my wife and my children. But I also have that same healing, caring, loving, supportive, we're here for each other's growth in a good way type of relationship with my team. So when I first started out, it was just me.
Sure.
Right? Like I called you and reminded you with your appointments, and now we actually have a team. And so we've come a long way. So to have a supportive team that believes in the mission, that believes in the type of work that we do, because they see it in the front. They see the patient when they first walk in, and they see the changes, the physiological changes that take place in them in a good way when they leave.
Well, you can sense too. I mean, when you walk in somewhere, anything, you can sense if people are not, if there's tension. I mean, people really pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that you have a great team is just, one more thing.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
and if
encouraging.
there's secret issues there and you're not aware of it, your patients are aware of it.
Oh, absolutely. Probably even more so than way more than you think that they are.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely. Do you think that your patients, have you gotten some feedback that it sounds like you do more of an individual approach to each patient. So, like you said, combining, the science and also the art, but that it's not just a standard blueprint for each patient. So do you feel like that they really appreciate that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's individualized care. So there are patients that come in, they have an acute condition. What's wrong? I woke up with a crick in the neck. Okay, great. So that's a different treatment plan. It's going to be like 1, 2, or 3 treatments, more than likely.
Sure.
And then there are patients with chronic issues, what we call comorbidities. There's multiple health conditions.
Okay.
That's part of their causative factors in terms of how slow or how quickly that they're going to heal.
Okay.
So they're going to require a different treatment plan. And so we try to have that conversation. Some patients are willing to do a lot of changes or interventions. And then some patients are, hey, what's the minimum I can do? And just to get to my next level, and my next level is this short, and then from there on out, we'll take it from there. So we like to work with the patient, figure out what their expectations are, and then devise something to help them along that path.
And also realistic expectations, right? Because I'm sure there's some patients that are willing to do, A, B, and C, and then, the other patient, maybe, they're not willing to do it, so you're going to have to fill that out, correct?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, to try to figure out. And I'm sure patients appreciate that. I mean, I know I personally would appreciate that. So, But again, to contact Dr. Narayan, 877-847-7868. So we went into kind of a little bit of acupuncture. You're definitely into that. So, and then the natural pain relief. Is there anything else you want to elaborate on as far as that goes?
No, I think we've covered most of it.
And what do you enjoy most about the interaction that you have with your patients?
I love connecting with my patients and their stories. So all of us human beings, we have stories.
Yes.
And so some of our stories, or sometimes many of our stories, are directly linked to what brought us into our office space. And so like a quick example is right across the hallway from our clinic is City of Hope. They provide cancer treatments, and we have our patient's husband goes and gets treatment there.
Okay.
And so when she came in, we were working on her back. And the story behind her back pain is sometimes the husband feels weak, and so she kind of helps him up. And that's been going on for many months, and that causes some strain in the lower back. So our story on how we tied into that narrative of her story is that we are going to support you so you can support your husband, because that's part of what brings you joy and pleasure, to be there in that way, in a good, healing, supportive way with your husband.
Yes.
So it's not just about a back pain for us. We're going to hear... we're here to help support your back, but we're also here to support you as you strengthen yourself and find your power to live that life that you want to live.
Again, it goes back to it all being connected.
Absolutely.
Right? Piece by piece, it's not just one singular thing. So it's all the connection. And with the people around you as well.
Yes.
Is also a really important piece. That was fascinating. Well, Dr. Narayan, I just want to thank you so much. This has just been a pleasure getting to know you and more about your approach to medicine, acupuncture, your clinic, how you came up with the name. I very much appreciate your time. Again, to get in touch with Dr. Narayan, 877-847-7868, or if you have Medicare or health-related questions, Jason Vallejos, again, 877-847-7868. And if you enjoyed Dr. Narayan this week, we will be continuing our discussion with him next week. We'll get a little more into his practice and how he incorporates pain management and just a little more details. So make sure you listen in for that next week. And I just want to thank you again, Dr. Narayan, and thank you as well, Jason.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for having me. And remember that acupuncture and a lot of specialty care is covered through most of the benefits available through Regal Medical Group. So again, call us at 877-847-7868 with any of your benefit questions, or if you're confused about your health coverage, we're here to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. And thank you again for listening. I am your host, Rachel Grace, and I'll be here with you next week for our continued discussion on Doc Talk.
Thanks for listening to Doc Talk with your host, Rachel Grace. To find community events, locate a doctor, get answers to Medicare or health plan questions, or if you need any health-related resources, make sure to visit Regal Medical online at their website, regalmed.com, or call 877-847-7868.